Hi, my name is Cassie Sharp. I am a Master's of Teaching ESL P through 12 candidate at Asbury University. Today I'm going to present my research proposal about two-way immersion and its benefits to English language learners. Okay, just to give you a little bit of background about English language learners, they are a quickly growing group. In the year 2011-2012, English language learners made up more than 9% of the public school students in the U.S. So they're quickly growing and that number is only increasing. So it's important to look into the best way to educate this special group of students. And when they have options in schools, it's important for us as educators to know which of those options will help ELLs and which are not of help to ELLs. So I'm looking into immersion programs. I am in an immersion school, and I know not all schools offer immersion programs, but some do. And to clarify, two-way immersion, which is mentioned in this study and in this study proposal, two-way immersion is the same as any sort of immersion program you think of. You know, a child is in a program and they speak English, but they are learning Spanish for half the day or the full day. That is an immersion program. The reason that you can sometimes say two-way immersion is because in those programs there are students from different native language backgrounds represented in the class. So you have native Spanish speakers, native French speakers, native English speakers, all in this immersion program together trying to become proficient in two languages. Now in the U.S. and in the school I teach in, there are mostly Spanish immersion programs. So my program for the ELLs is considered two-way immersion because there are native Spanish speakers, French speakers, Swahili speakers, and English speakers all together in this immersion program trying to become proficient in Spanish and English. That's the end goal for these students. So the purpose is that given an option, should these ELLs choose the immersion route or should they stick to full day of English instruction? You know, if they are Hispanic and their native language is English, but they receive English language learner services, should they still choose to receive half their day in English and Spanish or all English? So that's what the study's looking into. Okay, to get specifically into the questions I wanted answered from my research, I wanted to know what the effects of half-day enrollment in a Spanish immersion program had on the language and literacy scores of ELL kindergarten students. And so not only did I want to know how this was going to affect their language and literacy scores over the course of the year, I wanted to know, secondly, what sort of benefits does this program have for ELLs in the program versus those who are not enrolled in the program. So I wanted to know what a comparison looked like. My hypothesis was that students enrolled, these ELL kindergarten students enrolled in the half-day two-way immersion program, they will receive higher academic gains over the course of the year in terms of language and literacy assessments, higher than those, a bigger margin of improvement over those students not enrolled in the immersion program. So just to reiterate on two-way immersion programs, when we look at the literature, they show that two-way immersion programs do have the same goal as regular bilingual programs. So it is, no need to dwell on what two-way immersion programs are. The only difference is that they have more than just native English speakers represented in the group. But the goal is the same, proficiency in two languages, excuse me. And then of course there's a lot of research out there on first and second language acquisition and what that looks like. And so there was research about how when students are proficient in their first language, it is much more easy to become proficient in that second language, and that basically that base needs to be there for students to ever acquire a second language. There were a lot of studies about that. There were also studies about how these language skills can transfer easily from one language to the next. So, if you are a good reader or good writer in your first language, it's only going to help when you are learning that second language. Reading and writing in the second language is going to be easier for you because those skills will transfer. And then specific studies that are similar to the study that I'm going to try to do, in which they look at two-way immersion and they look at ELLs in the program. All of them showed benefits, all of them showed gains in the students who continued to study their native language and English. In one particular study, the ELLs closed the achievement gap by the 5th grade and continued to score well in their native language. So there were many studies out there like that. There is a lot of research to back up that keeping that native language base, learning both languages at the same time, was beneficial to the students' scores. Okay, so looking into the specifics of the study, I will be looking into 7 English language learner kindergarten students. All 7 of these students receive English language learner services, in that for 30 minutes every single day they are pulled from their classroom to work on language and literacy with myself and another ELL teacher in my school. So they receive the exact same ESL services every day for 30 minutes. The difference in the two groups is that 3 of the 7 are receiving the treatment. These 3 students are enrolled in our school's immersion program. They are receiving half of their daily instruction in Spanish and half of their daily instruction in English. The half in English is their literacy, their reading, their writing, their letters, their sight words, general literacy, and their Spanish half of the day is math and science. The other 4 of the 7 ELL kindergarten students being looked at in this study are the control group. They are not receiving the immersion treatment program. They are on the non-immersion track. They receive full day instruction in English. So they are in different homerooms, but one is receiving half-day immersion in Spanish, and the other 4 students of the 7 are receiving full-day English instruction. This is happening every day for an entire school year, and that is what we'll be looking at. As far as data collection in the study goes, I will be collecting several types of data. First is the literacy assessments. At the beginning of the year, the students were tested in letters of the alphabet, a recognition test. They were tested in what sounds these letters make, and they were also tested in sight words. Could they read any sight words, such as the, a, of? This was collected from a sight word list. So those basic literacy assessments will be collected at the beginning of the school year, in the middle of the school year, and at the end of the school year. And so I will be looking into that data to see how much each student has grown, and if there is greater growth shown in the immersion students versus the non-immersion students, and just how that growth looks with that immersion students. Are there good academic gains? I will also be sending out a parent questionnaire in the middle of the year. I wanted to get, with such a small group, I wanted to get a little bit of background on students' education, the parents' education, what kind of things are happening in the home, if students are being read to, if their parents can speak English or do speak English to them instead of a native language. That's important to know because those are factors that could throw off some data. And finally, I will also be looking at student progress reports completed by their homeroom teacher. They are completed every 9 weeks and have a range of categories, and progress reports are the same for all kindergarten students, but each individual homeroom teacher filled that out, and that might give us a little bit more data about students' progression throughout the year. As far as keeping the study reliable and valid, I think there's reliability because the data will be collected at 3 different points throughout the year, and there will be 3 different types of assessments collected. The 3 I just mentioned: the literacy data, the parent questionnaires, and homeroom teacher progress reports. And that is it for my study. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to collecting the data and sharing it with you. Thank you.